It is looking like Nintendo themselves is actually teasing something exciting and new for next year. And no, this isn't something like what happened a few weeks ago, where people on Twitter saw that Nintendo put out a tweet involving Mario and Luigi Brothership and a 10 out of 10 landing, and people jumping through several hoops to think that this was somehow referencing a huge Nintendo Switch 2 reveal on October 10th. This is something more clear and apparent, and it is out of the ordinary. Normally, we don't have Nintendo themselves teasing things. We might get teases from different industry insiders, we might even get teases from Nintendo developers. There's a pretty significant history of Zelda series producer Eiji Aonuma hinting at future Zelda games, like in the case of Link's Awakening or Majora's Mask 3D, and even most recently with Echoes of Wisdom. And we've even gotten teases from Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai for future Nintendo games, like in the case of Luigi's Mansion 3. But this time, it isn't a developer, it isn't an insider, it isn't a seemingly cryptic tweet from Nintendo's Twitter. This is something Nintendo is sending straight to us, the fans, and I'm convinced it does mean something significant. So that's what we're getting into today on AndresRestart. Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and let's get right into things here. So Nintendo's been putting out this update to their newsletter for Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack. And this is how it reads. Cheers to 3 years, it's the 3-year anniversary. We hope you've had a chance to enjoy revisiting or discovering classic games in the Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, and Sega Genesis libraries. Oh, and doing more in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Splatoon 2 games with access to their paid DLC included. And here it is. What excitement will next year bring for Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack members? Stay tuned to find out. At first glance, perhaps this doesn't seem that obvious of a tease, but it's really here, this last thing that they say that I think is actually very much a tease. What excitement will next year bring for Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack members? Stay tuned to find out. They are literally asking us in a teasing way about what excitement will Switch Online bring next year. They went ahead and summarized all the features of Switch Online Expansion Pack, and they tell us to stay tuned to find out more. For comparison, this is the normal newsletter for Switch Online. They talk about the different features and different games that are coming out during that time and offers and all of that. But here, this is what they say normally. Your Switch Online Expansion Pack membership gives you a lot of bang for your buck. Check out some of the great benefits that you get with your paid membership. Typically, that's all they do. They just remind you of the different things that are already available. That's not what this new newsletter update is doing. It's teasing something new and exciting for next year, and they are telling us to stay tuned to find out. But you see, this potential tease here becomes significantly more exciting when you consider all the prior context. Before we continue on though, let me quickly ask that if you do enjoy my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Anyway, perhaps quite obviously, most of us Nintendo fans are eagerly anticipating the official reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2. A lot of us think it's going to happen in October, but Nintendo has told us officially that it will happen at some point before the end of the fiscal year, which ends on March 31st. So we're always looking for something that might be hinting at Switch 2. And this isn't necessarily for Switch 2. What it is quite obviously is referencing something new for Switch Online. And what's interesting about that is that just last week, Nintendo announced this special playtest program. But they are not telling us what it is. This is something they've never done before, and this is meant to test out a new feature for Switch Online. So Nintendo's already told us that a new feature is coming out, and they are testing it this month of October. So if they are testing it in this month of October, it's probably not coming out until next year. There's a pretty good chance that whatever this playtest program is testing is also what this new feature will be for Switch Online. But what's interesting about this is that Nintendo is talking about this being next year, and with all of us expecting a Switch 2 release next year, then yeah, I think it is fair to consider as a pretty good chance that whatever this new feature for Switch Online is going to be, it's also probably going to be for Switch 2. Nintendo's already told us that they want Nintendo accounts to transfer over to future generations. A big part of Nintendo accounts is the Switch Online membership. And considering that we are in the 8th year of the console, we are approaching the 8th anniversary of Switch come March of 2025, it's so late that it doesn't really make sense to announce big new features this late into the game, unless that this new feature that they are having an unprecedented playtest program for and teasing on their newsletter is something that's going to be around for years to come on their next generation console as well. So whatever this is, I absolutely think it's something that's going to be around for a while, not just for Switch 1 owners, but also Switch 2. But perhaps the bigger question to ask here isn't if Nintendo is teasing something, and it isn't if this will also come to Switch 2, but rather what this is going to be. And interestingly, since we got the initial announcement of the playtest program, we have gotten some interesting updates to what's been going on. So, a lot of you may have already heard about the huge Giga Leak, the sequel to the Giga Leak, the Terra Leak, involving Pokémon. And we're not going to dive into too many details on this, but there is something that came out of that might be related. Might. I'm not saying for sure, I'm simply mentioning a possibility here. But we did get a codename leak for a new Pokémon game. And this is not for Generation 10. This is not for Legend ZA. This is for this other project that's under the codename of Synapse. And this is apparently a collaborative project between Pokémon Company, Game Freak, and ILCA. And supposedly, it's an action-like multiplayer game that feels a lot like Splatoon. Splatoon is a big online multiplayer game from Nintendo. And if they're making something kind of like this, but also involving Pokémon, then the levels of popularity here could be significant, and perhaps it would be so big that Nintendo might want to test it out beforehand, and also perhaps start teasing it as well. I think this makes some sense, but I also think that when it comes to big Pokemon announcements, typically Pokemon Company wants to do that themselves. They usually save those announcements for big Pokemon Presents, and we probably wouldn't see Nintendo teasing it. Pokemon Company likes to tease their own products and then they'll announce it, and then once it's announced, then Nintendo will start to further market and talk about it. So it's unlikely that it's this Synapse project, but I do think it's at least worth considering because of the whole online nature of things here. But the big idea that most of us have been latching on to is that this is somehow related to Nintendo GameCube. One reason is simply because GameCube has seemed like the natural evolution or the natural next step for Nintendo Switch Online. And as they summarize in this tease here, they mention different platforms on Switch Online, and now they're talking about something else, something new. What else could that be? What is the next natural step here? Well, what's even more exciting than N64? Perhaps Nintendo GameCube, because Nintendo has never added that to Switch Online or any sort of virtual console-like offering, and I think we're due. We're absolutely due. We were getting N64 games on Nintendo Wii. Nintendo Wii came out back in 2006. GameCube is just 5 years older than N64, yet here we are in 2024, and we still haven't gotten any sort of legacy-like options for GameCube, outside of independently made remasters and remakes. But there's a lot more smoke here. So something that people have noticed is that there has been an issue with third-party GameCube controller adapters ever since the recent Nintendo Switch firmware update 19.0. People are having issues playing Smash Bros. With GameCube controllers. That seems highly coincidental, but there's more. Going back to earlier this year, we did have filing dates for these different trademarks regarding, GameCube controllers. And this kind of imagery here matches the kind of imagery we tend to get with Switch Online controller trademarks. But the rabbit hole gets even deeper. Going back to July of this year, Luigi Blood pointed out this discovery. here is shipping information for this product with a code of LDOL, L-D-O-L. And as pointed out here, L has to do with classics, and they use this for all the other NSO related things. And then DOL, as in short for Dolphin, as in the code name for Nintendo GameCube. So there's a lot of speculation here that this is absolutely a whole bunch of parts for something GameCube related with the LDOL code. So there's clearly smoke for something GameCube going on right now. And perhaps what's also very curious is that Masahiro Sakurai has just put out his last planned video on his YouTube channel. Masahiro Sakurai, the creator for Smash Bros., has finished these videos in advance and has announced that there will be one more finale video, but that's it. This part might just be highly coincidental, but it is very interesting that the creator of Smash Bros. Is now finishing things up. Some of you might be wondering, how is Masahiro Sakurai finishing things up related to GameCube? Well, there is a game for Nintendo GameCube that might be a great way to stress test some sort of online feature. Super Smash Bros. Melee. It's a huge GameCube game, and it's possible it might be part of a big GameCube update for Switch Online, and also possibly for this playtest program as well. And what's important about a Smash Bros. Game being used to playtest something online is because Smash Bros. Has a history of not having the best online. But perhaps Nintendo has a new setup now where consistent, reliable online play can happen for Smash Bros. If Nintendo can finally pull this off, this would be huge for actual online play of the most popular fighting series in the world. But is it possible that whatever Nintendo's teasing here, whatever this playtest program is, isn't GameCube related? Absolutely. Is it possible that this isn't even Switch 2 related? I would say it's unlikely, because I do think that whatever comes to Switch 1 online will also be for Switch 2, but yes, it's possible it's just a Switch 1 exclusive feature. And it's also possible that none of this has anything to do with the Switch 2 reveal happening soon. For sure. But what is clear is that something new is coming. Nintendo's literally told us already by announcing the playtest program, and now it seems like they are further teasing it. Something Nintendo does not do. So there is absolutely smoke here, and Nintendo themselves appears to be fanning it. But what do you think is going on? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.